Alright, so I wanted to show this. You can disassemble this if you want to. That's how I painted mine. I did it the same color as my 50. And I also did a silica carbide grip, which came out pretty cool. What we're going to do is we're going to assemble it. Show you guys how to do that. And also, the only two differences that I was able to find between this and the original version is that the top lock is actually reinforced with metal, and also the firing pin hole is just a little bit larger in diameter. These are also spring loaded, which I don't know if it'll be drop safe, but you know, there is that. Let's put this thing together. It's really not that difficult. There's not that many parts involved here. You just want to remember your pin placement. The smallest of the pins. If I can get it off here. Jeez. Goes right here. The largest right there, and the medium size right here. Next thing we're going to do is our hammer assembly. So this guy right here. So this pin and this one. And push it all the way down. You're going to have to move it back just like that. And you want your hammer to be in contact with, if you look, it's got technically 3 hammers there, but make sure one is lined up with at least either the bottom or the top firing pin. You can see how it went in there. Next up is this piece. You want it facing like this. And this goes right in here, right onto that pin. If you look, there's a stop right there. See that little plastic stop? Next, we're going to do the spring to that little piece that we just put in there. If you look, it's got like a little hook right there. And that hook goes underneath of that little arm. You're going to need some tweezers for this for sure. It's a pain in the ass. Just like that. Now we need to move this part of the spring over to this side. That's where your tweezers come in handy. Make sure you hold on to it. It is difficult to get it over. There it is. Just like that. Next part, your trigger assembly. Now this, it just goes through right there, right through that hole. You just kind of squeeze this down. This is under spring tension, be careful. See if I can get it to focus. There's a tiny little spring in there, and if you let this thing fling up, that spring is going to disappear, and then you're going to be in some trouble. You can see all it does is it follows in that track, and it engages right there. You can actually hold it together, squeeze, get your action to move a little bit. Oh yeah, safety, disengage it. Oops, now you can see how that works, and it turns it. Be firing on the top right there. That is what you want. So always make sure it's lined up with the firing pin after you're done like checking to make sure that it engages it. Now the worst part is putting this spring up there with the lock and then smushing the two pieces together. This is the most difficult part of putting this back together. It's the most annoying, but let's give it a shot. I've done this before. Like I said, version 1, version 2, the only difference is the firing pin size and this that this is metal up here. That's the only difference on the two. The internals, you can swap them out. They're exactly the same. There's nothing different. And I actually have some ideas. I want to actually cut this frame off right there. Make this really tiny, little 2-finger grip. So the spring goes into that little cavity right there, right here, not in the top one. That's where your lock is going to ride. Now if you look at your lock, see that little tab? That little tab needs to push this spring into that groove. See if I can get it on camera for you. Yeah, see. I want that spring to go flying, but that's what you want. Now getting the two halves together with this spring staying in place is extremely hard. Sometimes you get lucky and it'll just kind of hold there, but I don't think that's going to be the case, so you have to kind of finagle it. I'm going to try to get it on camera, but you get the gist of it. Oh, look at that. It held for a second. Let's see if we're lucky here. Now it's best to line the top up just to get this part out of the way. Up, just like that, our spring's gone, see? This is what makes this part tricky. Let's see here. It's not fully seated. I can already see it. Try to hold them together as best you can. I got lucky, but that spring, I'm not going to be able to get it in focus, is cockeyed. I can see it. So I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it in just a little bit, and it'll straighten out. See, now everything closed up good and secure. Now all I got to do is put the bolts in it. It should function. which it does. Now we're gonna put our screws in it. I have 2 empty cylinders, and then we'll check to see if the firing pins are actually striking. Now there are different screws here. What I do is I just do them in kind of like a pattern like this on a piece of tape, so I know, you know, which one goes where. I suggest you do the same. Cardboard works pretty good. You just kind of put them in the same pattern as on a gun. Remember, you want to keep tension on this. And I like to do it kind of in a crisscross pattern. That way it's putting even pressure on the frame throughout. So I'll get one a little bit, you know, in there, and then just move along to the next one. And tighten everything in a cross pattern when we get close. There are 2 different size Allen heads here. I don't know why they did that, just kind of annoying, but that's what you got. And if you're going to paint it, I recommend you take it apart. You don't want these internals getting all gross and gunked up with paint, or not being able to take it apart, because sometimes these have issues. My generation 1 that I had, it would sometimes throw the that little lever on the trigger, and then it would just, the trigger would be dead. You'd have to take it apart and reset it. What they did to fix that in this one, or if they fixed that, I don't know, but it happened every time that I tried to use smaller caliber rounds through this, which was really lame. Because I made 25 caliber barrels for this, and I also have 22. I'm hoping that's not the issue with this one. I haven't tried them in that yet, but we'll figure it out. Remember, you don't want to snug everything up just yet. I actually think I did do those backwards, but that's okay. I think they're the same size. The long one's on the bottom. Close it up. Now I'll put a little bit of torque on these guys. Get everything kind of closed up here. Make sure this is still working. This guy is the one that you really want to torque down. This is the bigger one. It'll squeeze everything together, just like that. Hold on, I gotta take care of something. I'll be right back. Alright, I am back. I had to go deal with my son, but it is all back together. It's looking pretty good. Let's see if our safety works. It does. Fire. It does. Okay. Now I got one more bolt to put through to attach the barrel. So let's do that real quick. There's also a spring. Let's see, it's pretty much just set in there. Your screw goes through the middle of it, or bolt, whatever you want to call it. The other side, there is a detent, which actually what we'll do first is we're just going to take our little nut here, insert it just like that. Line our barrel up. put our bolt through. Find our right Allen key. I think it's the big one. Yeah. And this one, you just want to snug it up. You don't want to rank on it. It's not really doing anything. See, that's a little bit too tight. That spring does nothing right now. Back it out a little bit. There we go. Alright. As I said, these have no air in them. You can tell that because they're not expanded at all. They're flat discs. We're going to shoot one barrel and test it. First one. See that? We got a hole in the top. Let's try a second. Got a hole in the bottom. So it has successfully been taken apart and put back together. And man, does it look good. Really happy how that came out. That's how you disassemble and reassemble your AEA Defender.